What's going on, everybody? My name is Kyle Ferris. This is the Strength and Grace official YouTube channel, and this is going to be the first of several videos on the topic of depression, how to manage it, how to navigate it. And this is not just for individuals that suffer from depression, but for those that may have a loved one that is suffering with depression and maybe looking for ways to help them, to better love them in light of what they're going through. So let me start with who I am and why I think that I'm a credible source to listen to, because I mean there's so many videos out there, you could probably find somebody else to listen to, right? First and foremost, I am actually somebody that suffers with depression. I've been dealing with depression since I was around the age of 12. So about 15 years I've been going on this roller coaster and hitting those deep lows, hitting them for months at a time at certain points in my life. The second thing, I work at a place for people with disabilities, including bipolar and schizophrenia and other emotional disabilities, along with a plethora of other disabilities. But the job that I have currently is to train the staff to work with individuals with these disabilities, which means I don't necessarily have all the answers, but I do a fair amount of research to help the staff, to equip the staff to work with individuals with these disabilities. So let me talk a little bit about my past. Why is it that I started getting depressed? Well, what was it again? Well, it was because, wasn't it the, what was it? Because of the, oh, that's right. I had no idea. I had absolutely no clue why I was depressed, and that actually made me more depressed, because then I'm starting to do that introspection thing where I'm drilling deep into my mind trying to figure out what exactly is going on with me and why do I feel this way. It wasn't until I was probably I'm going to say 20-something before I figured out that a lot of it had to do with anxiety. See, I was feeling anxiety because I was surrounded by people and I'm an introvert. I'm going to school, transitions, and all this stuff. And I'm an introvert, and I wasn't spending time alone and getting alone in a healthy way. I wasn't getting that time alone. Now, I don't know if that's actually what caused the depression, but my hunch is that because I couldn't figure out how to deal with the anxiety, my body could just kind of shut off. Like I shut off my emotions as much as I could so that I wouldn't have to feel the immense amount of stress that was on me. But that's not the case for everybody. There are some individuals that suffer from depression because of chemical imbalances, and maybe that was me, I don't know. There are some people that deal with depression because of post-traumatic stress disorder. Other people might be dealing with depression because they just lost a loved one, or maybe they just haven't adequately grieved the loss of a loved one from years ago. Or maybe they lost a lot of money. Or maybe they just work way too much and they're overwhelmed and they're burnt out. Regardless of what causes depression, it's not easy to deal with. For me, the hardest times were when I was the age 17, 20, and 22. At those times, there was nothing necessarily going on that was so overwhelming and so difficult to handle that it caused me to be morbidly depressed. But my depression existed, and it was terrible. I felt alone, I felt abandoned, I felt ashamed, I felt guilty, I felt sorry, I felt like I didn't deserve to live. I felt like nobody would care if I was gone. I felt a lot of things that weren't necessarily true. But when you're depressed, you can't think straight. Your reasoning starts with the incorrect premise and ends with, of course, a very far-off conclusion that you should never really get to, but because you start with that wrong premise, you end up there anyway. Ideas like suicide become a viable option. For the record, it's a terrible option. Please don't do it. Please never do that. But it still pops into your head and you start thinking about it and it becomes more and more reasonable as the days go on. For me, I used to look at suicide as this predator that's trying to chase me down, and eventually I'd run out of gas, I'd run out of energy to keep running, and it would just consume me. And I cannot express enough how thankful I am that I am on the other side of that right now. That somehow I did outrun it. But it's scary that at any moment I thought that I would not be able to run anymore. It was almost like it was an inevitable thing in my life. I also used to be a cutter. And that may shock some people. That may be something that you would think, oh, like, how could you do that? I had so much internal pain going on that I was trying to, like, distract myself from it. Give me something tangible that actually hurt, rather than this abstract, metaphysical experience that I couldn't explain. But seriously, please don't cut either. It's really not worth it. Ultimately, the past 4 years have actually been pretty good for me. So 15 years of depression, 4 years, I should say, of those 15 where I'm pretty stable and I'm feeling pretty good. It's actually kind of scary if I'm going to be completely honest. But the way I see it, everything that I went through, every time that I felt so low I didn't want to live anymore, it was all worth it because it made me who I am today. And now I get the honor and privilege of helping others on a regular basis. I'm blessed to have a wife. I have an awesome family that loves me and that I love. My dog Tonks is legit. Not everybody is like me and is going to have the same solutions. What I'm going to do is try to cover everything that is good for just about anybody. So we're going to talk about physical ways of dealing with depression, like exercise and nutrition, things like that. And we're going to talk about the influences that we have in our lives and how they actually impact us emotionally. And of course, I'm going to look at some of the spiritual habits and disciplines that you can develop that will help you to maintain contentment and figure out how to be content. Ultimately, what I'm offering is not a cure, and I hope not to mislead anybody and to make you think that I'm some sort of therapist, counselor, clinician that's going to give you a kind of pill or something that's going to make everything better. I don't even think depression really works like that. What I know is that you can figure out ways to manage and navigate depression so that it's not so horrible every time you deal with it. I'm not necessarily against medicine. I've seen where some individuals absolutely need it. Me personally, I don't want anything to do with medications. Either way, even if you are on medicine or you're completely against it, these are the different things that you can do to help you to manage your depression. So like, subscribe, share this channel, let people know what I'm doing, bring purpose to the pain that I felt throughout my life. Let other people know that there are ways to deal with depression, and you don't have to think about suicide or cutting or anything like that as a solution. That's not the solution, and I'm going to give you plenty of things that are good solutions, alright? So take it easy, catch you next time.